So guys, today we'll be talking about interaction design, but in a very Indian context. Just looking at things which are available at home. Everybody would have these things. The whole session is oriented towards expanding all of your visions that interaction design is just not about screens. It has been there for a while and helping you just broaden your minds. It can be applied to common objects as well. So this entire presentation is surrounded, like it evolves. It basically covers all of that. So a little bit about me. I am a product owner at Evolve. It's an ecosystem that we are building to basically help people become design aware and help whoever is a designer, empower them with all everything that is available. So we are mentors. We also have a lot of AMS sessions, a lot of webinars. So as an add-on to your design education, you could also check out Evolve. This is the community that you can join, wherein you can interact with us directly. So here it is. I'll also be presenting the slide later towards the end of the presentation in case you want to join. We will see you there. But let's move to what we have at hand right now. So the outline, like I mentioned, we're going to be talking about what exactly interaction design is, give it a little bit of Indian context, then look into the entire competition, what is going on right now, and apply whatever that we are learning to this competition using a secret skill set that we have as Indians. So I'll end with that. Point number 4 is something that you can look forward to. Some of you will be able to guess by the time we end it, but just look forward to it. So let's just start with what interaction design is. Like I mentioned, it is just not about apps or touch screens. Any object with which you interact with or you touch upon it or it surrounds you has an interaction capability. Anything that is designed will have some sort of a utility for humans. So interaction design will help, these principles will help you design objects which humans can start using it intuitively. So it goes beyond screens and it's been there forever. So if you just look at this tiffin box that is already there, you would see that the handle is designed in a way that it makes the object more interactable. So you can touch it. If you take this tiffin box and give it to a toddler also, like who plays with blocks and stuff, they will be able to open it. They'll be able to play around with the box. They'll be able to remove all the compartments. They don't even speak the language. They'll still be able to do it because it's designed in a way that it has that capability. So if you look beyond your screens, it's everywhere. So the entire term was named very recently, and recently, by recently, I mean like 1980s and early 1990s, where all this was coined. But if you look beyond many years, this concept has always been there. It's just that formally we know it as interaction design now. Now, I just want to reinforce this book. If you have read this book in your college time, great. If you haven't, I would recommend that you pick up this book, Design of Everyday Things, which has principles of design, which we'll cover in the first half of the presentation right now. So let me cover 5 principles which will help you understand how an object becomes efficiently enabled so that we can interact with them. So here are the 5 principles and I'll walk through them very briefly. First is an affordance, which is a principle. What this means is that if you have any object, the way it is made, you can either use it the way it is intended to, or you can also use it the way it is even unintentionally used. But that particular object affords for you to carry out certain action. Now, what I mean by this is if you have experience while going the staircase, you have a railing. So the way the railing is designed, if it's not a pipe railing and if it's a wooden railing which is flat, it is meant for you to grip it and come down. But a lot of you in college must have put your books or phones over there. Even if it's not intended that the railing is supposed to do that, it affords for your phone or a book to be placed over that railing. So that surface area enables you to put something over there. So there is an intentional use of it, which is gripping the staircase and coming down. And there's an unintentional use of it, which is you putting your book or your phone on that railing. So affordance is basically a property which makes something that you can action, which makes an action possible for that particular object that is designed. Next is a signifier. It basically gives you a cue on how the object is going to be used or how it can be used. So, for example, a color, when you're playing a game and there is an arrow, it shows you that if you press that arrow, the entire thing on the screen is going to move towards the left. So that sort of is a signifier, and I'll apply this in our Indian object in the coming slides. Next is what mapping is. Mapping is basically a spatial logic that is between a thing and it's how you use it. So for example, if you have experienced this, in an auditorium, you have a series of switches that go. So you don't know if you turn on one switch, which fan is going to turn on. But if there is a spatial closeness to it, you will know that if you turn this on, the fan is on. Or if there's a color coordination between both of them, you will know that if the color of the switch is yellow and the fan is yellow, then there is an immediate mapping to it. So that is the principle of mapping. Next is a feedback, like the feedback of object gives. So when you're pressing a remote and a light comes on, you know the remote is working. If there's no light, how will you know it's working or not working? So that's just a simple concept of what feedback is. Next is the conceptual model, and this is where a lot of people make mistakes while designing something. When you see an object, you should intuitively know how it's going to function. For example, if you have like a steering wheel in your car, you know it has the capability of rotating. So if you rotate left, the car moves towards left. If you rotate towards right, the car rotates towards right. So getting that conceptual model is very important when you're designing something. So these 5 principles, these seem like very academic, right? That, oh my God, you have to listen to, you have to figure out affordance, signifier, mapping, feedback, conceptual model. I'm just designing a product. So how do I incorporate this in my own design? So let me break this down into and give you an example which is related to an object that you must be seeing every day in your kitchens. That's where, your pressure cooker. That comes, like all of us have woken up with this entire thing. We know something is happening over here. The reason of putting this is it's very quintessential to our Indian kitchens over here. So even here, you see the way the handle is designed, like how you can open it. There's a locking system to it. Everything has all of these principles defined inside it. So what after this presentation, whenever you go home or if you're around, I hope this presentation helps you understand that even if you take one object, you can sort of deconstruct it and apply these principles. Now I'll help you how to do that. So first is your masala dabba. That is the first example I have taken. Everybody has this in their house. And now let's take these principles and put it in this little piece of object which everyone has. Let's see what affordance means with respect to this box. When you see the masala ka box, you know that it has little containers. The containers has depth. Intuitively, you can place something in it. It does not necessarily have to be masala. You could also use this for storing your rubber bands or maybe small little trinkets. But the point is that it affords to have something inside it. Mapping the signifier, the masala in itself. So you have your turmeric, you have red chili powder, you have cumin seeds. All of them by itself are signifiers. You don't need any label on top of it to indicate what is it and what is it used for. Because you already know what are these things used for. Their visual appearance helps you understand what they need to be used for. Then comes mapping. Now, one beautiful thing about this small little design which has been going on for centuries, like I mentioned, interaction design is not something that has happened now. This is a very old piece of design which has evolved over the years. But it is so scalable, it is so customizable. Everybody has their own way of arranging masala in their boxes. If you're closer, if your kitchen gas is on the left side and your dabba is on the right, you will make sure that the most used masalas are this side. Vice versa, if you have it on the other side, you will keep it on the other. All the masalas would be over here. So just this small little piece is so scalable and it helps you map. So spatially, whatever that you need right now is available to you, accessible to you immediately. And the confinement of everything is such that you can also pick things more quickly. So it's so efficient as a design. And it basically helps you, you could personalize this thing also. Feedback, yeah, as you're basically picking out everything, it's reducing. So it's giving you feedback without any technology. I gave you an example of a remote earlier on, that when you press it, the light comes off, but that is tech piece. Over here is just utility. As you're finishing, it gives you a feedback that things are getting over. So you know this thing is in process, in motion, and it's being used right now. Now, this is just one part of it. sorry, I forgot about conceptual model. So conceptual model basically tells you over here that this is the constraint. This is the round box within which you have all of these containers, and it's contained within this. Even if you take something out and put something in, it is confined within this. So it basically everything you need is over here, and it doesn't go beyond this. The model is such that you know what is it used for and what is the purpose of this. Now let me take another example, which is your chessboard. This is a fascinating example because this doesn't directly take examples of the affordance signifiers directly, but it is also sort of indirect. I'll tell you why, because it's a very strategy based game. Affordance, very simple. Your chessboard is flat, so you can afford to keep something on it. So tomorrow, if you take out all the chess piece and if you just put your dinner plate on it and have your food, it is still utility friendly. So this space affords for you to put the pieces on it. Next principle is signifier. What are the chess pieces supposed to do? Each shape will indicate what is it supposed to do. The moves it can make, this will help you strategize basically how to win the game. So instead of putting a label that this is for this is for this, the shape in itself signifies what is it for and what are the functions it can do. Mapping is basically for two players. One player has one set of chess pieces on one side, the other player has other side. You have two sets, one which are contrasting, usually black and white. The proximity of it. So if player two's chess pieces are over here, the aim is to basically go and beat the king. So if you're strategizing it, you know the spacing of it. And immediately without thinking, you know which piece to pick up because that is yours. So there is a mind map of where you're at, what your pieces are, and the proximity of it. Next is the feedback. So when the game is in play, how do you know it's in motion? So when the chess pieces are moved and stationary, you would still know it's in motion because of the strategies, the opponent's chess pieces are pushed out. So as I show just this picture to someone, they will know this game is in motion because it provides adequate feedback that something has happened over here. So even though this is a physical object which has no tech in it, it still apply, the principles of interaction design still apply over here. Similarly with the conceptual model, now why I say this example is a strategic one is because here the conceptual model is not how you use the product. It's not like it's a steering wheel, it go left and right. But conceptually, what you need to do is beat the king of the opponent. Hence, you strategize how to go about it in order to achieve it. So the conceptual model here revolves around the rules and how you follow it in order to achieve something. So this is more strategic and rule-based, but the principles still apply. Which is why I took two examples over here. One is the box and second is the chessboard. So you can see the difference that even though this is more strategic, a lot of the principles still apply over here. Now, how do you enchant these? Because that is the main aim of this competition that you're going to be part of. Like, how do you take a physical object and make it come alive? So for those who have just joined the webinar over here, this is the competition that is going on right now. I'll also post the link in the chat towards the end. So you can participate in it. So basically what you need to do is take an object like this and add some sort of tech in it so that it comes alive. Now let me explore a few ideas on how you could do this. For example, if you take the same example of the masala box over here, how do you make it come alive? You could do it by multiple ways. Maybe you have a sensor over here that once the masala is getting over, it already indicates you that it's getting over. Although it seems like a very futile thing to do because you already see that it's getting over and hence do it. But this is just like a forceful way of, communicating. A better way to do it, if you want to use AI in it, is basically if you have some masalas over here and you're cooking something, what if this thing has a voice command over here and you ask it, hey, I'm making this, I forgot what was when, what is the sequence of it? And this actually responds to you. So your normal object actually became a little more intelligent. It's basically helping you. So this is one way that a normal object could be enchanted. Similarly, with the chessboard, what if it becomes more like a tutorial instead of it just being a gameplay? So for somebody who wants to learn, what if then once you pick the piece, it tells you that this is the place, these are the spaces that it has to move. You make the call as to what you're supposed to do, but it'll give you all the probable options. It becomes a tutorial for somebody who wants to learn. And if you want to integrate AI in this, what you could do is make this bot intelligent enough to calculate. Basically, it observes the entire game. What's really going to happen over here? So once the gameplay is over, it can actually analyze what are the different strategies you use, what are the points that you actually made a mistake. So it would help you analyze your game as well. So these are just different point of views to just get you into this whole zone wherein you first take an object, see what are the principles that are being applied, and then figure out how you can apply the tech to it without disturbing the usability of it. So I hope this thing helped. Now we'll move on to one other thing I want to talk about. Because we are talking about Indian products, Indian everyday items, we can't forget one thing, which is our secret skill. Use jugaad. What I was trying to tell over here is something that is very innate to all of you, this nature, that if you have to basically, if you have an ambition that this is something that you want to create, use this technique that we have grown up with, use all the resources that are available to you, and create this without having to rely on things that might not be available to you right now. What's happening here is that it is not a workaround policy, like, philosophy. It is actually a very good design philosophy wherein you start optimizing with what resources you have, start pushing it out, and work on iterations. So I would advise you to use this concept while you're creating something and push things out. So this is what I meant by using the secret skill set that you already have. And finally, concluding, this might seem like a very academic approach wherein you're learning about principles and then applying it. But in all, design is actually a lot of fun. If you think about it, it's more like problem solving, it's like solving something, figuring out how things can work the best. So get out of this whole mindset wherein it is, about scoring marks, showing your portfolio, getting a job. If you can look beyond, it is a lot of fun to do. So if you can put yourself in that mindset, you'll be able to come up with a lot of ideas and experiment with that. So there is a concept, like if you're in a happy state, in a very positive state, you get a lot of ideas to brainstorm on. So try not to get stressed. I'm sure you're in college and you have a lot of things. People who are outside college would have like a lot of work to do. But if you can figure out a way to, just treat this as fun, this might become like a really good career to have. So I hope by the time we, get off from this call, objects little more differently. Whatever you read, you start applying to it and then start analyzing and creating everything. So open to questions. Let me know if you guys have anything that you want to share. If you want to brainstorm on any ideas that you have or how do you want to approach to things, we have some time to do that. So we can do that.
Hello, ma'am. Uh,
Hi.
Hi. So my question is that, ma'am, could you please explain me little about affordance? I'm getting confused. How can I explain you? Like, we use water bottle just for keeping the water in it. Okay. At the
Yeah.
same time, we don't have any other option to use bottle in a different way. So,
Yeah.
so what is the utility of that bottle? Only to drink or something else?
Okay.
No.
Are
Uh,
you talking about the plastic water
Yeah,
bottles?
yeah, yeah.
Disposable
Plastic
ones?
water bottles. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
getting confused with the affordance word.
Okay. Let me give you an example. Okay. A live example. I think it was a bad idea. The staircase thing. It was animated. Okay. This is a phone holder. Okay. Okay. It gives you, that this is a groove for the phone. So you put the phone.
Correct.
Okay. This is
Yes.
the way it was intended to be designed. कि भाई
Okay.
इसको, कि put the phone and this is how these guys were selling their product. But what this product also affords to do
Mm,
is that I have my set of headphones.
mm.
I put it over here.
Correct. Correct.
Now, this is not how this product was intended to be
Yes.
designed, but
Yeah.
this product affords that it has a flat surface so you can
Mm,
put stuff on it.
correct. Got it.
Affordance is just this much, that what is it that the product, whatever is has come out, whatever
Mm,
is designed, what all actions can it support?
okay.
It could also support as a, if you, okay, putting quick ho gaya, but let's see what all can you do apart from, maybe you can stack it up if you have two, three of them and do something with it.
Yeah, yeah.
But just because it has a flatter surface, it can be used as something else and just not what it was intended for.
Yes. Ma'am, so affordance can be multiple.
Yes. So it could be intentional, unintentional. Now, as a designer, if you want that something is to be designed in this way only, then you
Mhm.
add constraints so that people will not they will not know what else to do with it. They would
Okay.
just use it the way you intended it to be. So
Okay.
human mind will start exploring ways to use it the way it's not supposed to be. But as somebody who's designing it, you just need to make sure at least what your purpose is needs to get solved.
Okay. Fine. Fine.
Similarly, like a glass door, if you read his book, what he mentions is that if a glass door is there, it's transparent. It is
Mm.
like a transparent glass door. It affords to open and close. That is its function. But it also affords that you can see through it.
Correct.
It affords transparency.
Correct.
So
Correct.
if it's a wooden door, it won't afford to do that. But if it's a glass door, it does.
Correct. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Absolutely clear to me.
Awesome. 1 liter bottle is to fill water in the room. I didn't understand this.
अरे आई एम सेइंग रूम कूलर वो उसके माउथ में इजीली जाता है ना उसका माउथ आपकी बॉटल का दैट्स इट ही
Oh
वाज आस्किंग अदर अनइंटेंशनल वेज टू यूज अ वाटर बॉटल सो
yes, true.
This is jugaad.
Jugaad. Awesome. Anybody has anything else? What is the last jugaad which you did or come across? Oh,
आई मीन द मोस्ट रिसेंट वन लाइक
yes, yes. There is. I have a onion stand. Sorry, I'm doing a lot of kitchen products right now, but yeah, there is a potato and onion stand that has lost its wheels. One of the wheel is gone, and the entire thing is floppy. It keeps falling. So one of the jugaad which we all do is put a paper in it, and eventually I ended up taking out all the wheels instead of purchasing a new one. So when all the wheels came out, it balanced. But for the time being, there was that jugaad thing that I did to make it.
नाइस
Yeah.
So basically, if your understanding of affordance is better, makes you a better designer,
All
more
principles.
creative.
Yeah, just not one. All five
Yeah.
principles, and there are more. This is so. Otherwise, it would have become like a academic lecture. That's why I just picked five.
Yeah.
And then there
Yes.
are so many more. So if you grasp these fundamentals, you will know how to design something. Like you could just make whatever, but then it needs to have a purpose. It needs to have intention. So you'll be able to do that much better if you understand these things.
These principles are actually basically used in all streams of design.
Yes. So it'll never be a loss for you if you read it. It's only going to make it stronger because it can be used for anything. It can be used for product design, interiors, fashion, anything because everything has properties.
So design colleges, they focus on these things a lot.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
you could, Disha, you could, sorry, Varun, you had more questions before we move on to Disha's?
No, no, no. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Disha, are you just starting out or are you already, have you been passed through a few books? Because if you're going to just ask about fundamentals, then you have design of everyday things. Oh, lovely. So you already have a sense of space, which is great. That's really required if you're going to, it's awesome if you have an architecture background. A lot of the concepts and fundamentals are applied over here. So you could have the design of everyday things is already there. There's emotional design. Then there is, I think, 100 universal principles of design. There is a book that you could, read. These are all fundamental things. There are books on typography that you can read. I think what we could do is we could also circulate a list of books, categorize them so that you guys can have a look at it. That is something we can do because the list is quite long. There is also a book called Shape of Design, this or Creative Confidence. These are all how do you collaborate with team. As designers, you also need to know what teamwork is. You can't work in silos. One person can't do everything. So these are books for that. Thanks, Paddy. Yes, designers are. Yeah. Yeah, Nikhil. Do you have a question, Nikhil? Your hand is raised. I think. No worries. Does anybody want to share what they're building or get any ideas or just have some questions that they want to clarify, just not related to this topic, but overall anything, any fundamentals you want to get cleared? This is a good time to do that. If you guys have any question, even regarding what you want to do in future, I guess since we are out of questions for this, like particularly for this, if you have any more questions, feel free to ask us.
Yeah, hi, but this is Najee. Can I add something to this?
Yes, please.
Yes. So this is actually an amazing webinar you have to get it.
Thank you.
So many of college professors won't agree with you with this interaction things and sort of the examples that you had shown, because I had talked to plenty of design professors, and they're good professors, but when I could have asked them that what about a blackboard?
Hmm.
What about a blackboard? Is it a user interface, or is it a UI UX, whatever you call it? Well, no, that is not actually a UI thing. So I asked them, what is the basic fundamental of UI and UX? So the basic fundamental of UI and UX is you have a user and you have the thing which you have to keep use, and it should not be complicated. You have everything within your visual space. So you don't have to, while working on something, you don't have to find or juggle around different things. Oh, where have I kept my chalk? Oh, where have I kept my duster? And where is this? And where is that? So this is also a user interface. So why don't you consider to this in the UI part? But no, that will be pretty much get debate, and it will go on to like ages with it. But take it. So what the thing why I liked you and I joined your webinar is just this one, because this is whatever the jugaad and all these things, that's okay. But the main fundamental thing is you have a thing designed and developed that has to be used by user. So you have designed something, you have put into use, they have given you some feedback, modify it, and make the ultimate thing. One example I can give you is it's a funny one. Everyone has used a commode, right?
Yes. I'm
It's the
assuming everybody has.
Indian or Western, whatever it is, and it has been going for ages. And what's the purpose of it? Anyone knows what's the purpose of it and how to use it.
Yes.
Great. So this is one of the examples, though a little bit of funny, but to be very honest, this has been said to me by one of my friends who was in Microsoft long time back. So he told me this, that self-tipping is another thing. It has been going on for ages and without changing it. Maybe there is a cap on top of it, a colorful thing, but the purpose remains the same. If you change it a little bit, the purpose will not be there. So this is what, to me, UI and UX is. So the thing which you have given or cited, like the chase, to many of the clear things, I will not agree with you, but still, But there are the fundamental thing which you have to put in, and about the other two YouTubers is just fabulous. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Always appreciate like a debate and how things are. And yeah, I think it's just opening up doors to using these things on other, just going beyond screens. You'll be able to take a call on apply these principles over there as well. So, yeah, agreed with you on the blackboard thing also.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, Rinal.
Ma'am, that example that you have given us, like one box is there in which like something salt or spices is there, and you say me try to technologically connect, like use some technicalities. Okay, so ma'am, what is your viewpoint on minimalism and adding technology on it? It is itself useful, ma'am. So why to use technology on that part? Like why to give another signifier if the human knows already that it is getting the amount is getting reduced, is all or automatically getting the natural signifiers. So how to use technology in that way, and how to keep the things minimal? What's your viewpoint? Are
So
you getting?
yeah, I understood your point. I completely agree. Like I mentioned, while I was explaining also, a feedback might not be necessary, or signifier might not be necessary because you can see that things are getting over. So having a tech which tells you that, hey, the masala is getting over, do something about it, may feel redundant. Like you might not want to do that. But what are the other ways to optimize it? And that's how good ideas come. So that is what our job here is, to figure out that yes, ideas could be plenty, but which is the one that we pick, which actually makes a difference and which actually has a purpose. So my opinion here is that dissect, analyze it, figure out what the ideas could be. When you're discovering ideas, don't judge whether this is a good idea, futile idea, or all of those things. Just put everything down, and then you do the analysis of it. That which one solves the purpose, which one seems scalable, which one actually works, and then you do that, and then you pick.
So first of all, dumping all the ideas and then analyzing it and then
Yeah.
putting.
Yeah, always.
Okay.
If you studied the double diamond thing, I like a lot of people say that you could skip this. But when you're exploring, explore everything that is possible, everything that is around. And then when you're creating solutions, you start analyzing like, okay, what are the resources I have? What is the timeline I'm working with? Is it making sense? Does it have a purpose? All of it. Then you select the ideas that work the best, and then you create actually a prototype before going full fledged, because you also want to test it with the people. So you don't want to put in all energy and create an end product which somebody
Correct.
is not going to use. So create prototypes in between.
Correct. Thank you.
Yes, Amit.
Hello.
Hi.
Ma'am, first of my question, what is the biggest mistake in UI design?
Biggest mistake I see in UI design.
Yes, ma'am.
Paddy, feel free to jump in over here also, but let me also see, what is the biggest mistake. I feel when you're doing the UI, yes, you might not apply interaction design principles like like when you're thinking of an experience design, you might see UI in silo that, it looks good, or I need some sort of a motion to it, and it might be delightful, but you might not see an end-to-end connection to what the journey is like, what is the purpose like. So you might lose sight of that. That is one mistake I feel, that when you do UI, you just look at from UI perspective, not an entire product perspective. Could be one. Next thing is not doing enough research, I feel, while applying. Like not having a sense of reason.
Okay.
Why have you used this? Why this works? Why this doesn't work? What are your decisions behind it? I think that could be another thing that is very common. Yes, this one also.
Okay.
People jump directly into Figma because that is an execution tool. It is not an ideation tool. Yes, Pamela.
Yeah, so I think some of the points already got mentioned, but a few key things, right, for somebody who is just focusing on UI.
we kind of tend to think into just that specific screen. So, for example, if you're thinking about maybe like a Zomato ordering screen, or maybe you're just viewing the menu. When you start designing, it's not that you have to just look at that design. Think about what the user is going to go through. They could be, let's say, maybe opening up their app on their phone, maybe looking up for some restaurant, searching it. So people kind of tend to separate UX and UI even in fields and even in, let's say, working. I know like people would have their own skills of expertise, but it should never be separated. So it's not like if somebody is focusing just on UI, they just only need to know about the colors, typography, illustrations, icons. It is very still equivalent and important enough to know about like the human principles, psychology principles, some of the UX principles as well, which we just saw, right? Like affordances and everything, because it would also translate into UI designs. Another thing which also tend to happen with like somebody who's just joining, we also, even this point was mentioned, people directly jumping into the Figma without thinking about the structure. So wireframes are very low key information, right? You think more about the structure, the information, the layout and everything. But what a wireframe is, it doesn't necessarily need to translate same as that into the UI. The layout could be a bit different. It could have something in a way that the information is a bit different, because then you need to identify what is more important. Where do you want to drag the user's attention? Where do you want the key information which is very well reflected to them? So the wireframes, they could be quick explorations or just ideations or concept. They don't need to literally translate into a UI design or interface. And even while working with the whole design and when you are translating those, like do as many explorations as possible, not just because you like some specific colors or even typography. Think about what that brand is, think about what that product is trying to do, and what are the different use cases also. So like a very few things, there could be like a lot many, but just the interest of time.
Yes. While you were talking, I also realized that we as designers tend to think only from this is what we need to execute and push it out. We also have somebody from our team who's a developer here. He's Arnab. Interacting with him on almost daily basis also gives us an idea that when we are just doing UI, we're not thinking from deliverable perspectives also. So if you're not using components, if you're using colors very randomly, there's a whole system to it. It gets so hard when you have to translate this and give it to actual people who want to create it, like who are actually going to execute your designs and make it come to life through codes. It gets so hard for them to understand and put this, and they have to sort of rework on everything, and it there is no sync. So that is also one perspective, I think, which a lot of people make mistake that, like I said, just focusing on your own task, which is you are not looking at a bigger picture of what is before, after, all of it. That could be one big mistake. I hope that helps. Awesome. Any more questions? Asma, if you want to take over, you want to add anything to this?
Not much. I think everything is covered as of now. But talking to the recent question, just want to add that people skip information architecture a lot sometimes, and they skip to understand what is your target audience. They are only designing for aesthetics, and sometimes also looking forward what is the trendy colors or are happening right now in the recent apps. So they just use that kind of trendy colors, trendy animations and micro interactions and whatnot. But when you are designing for the older people or maybe for the kids, you don't need them. Yeah, they skip these kind of things. So that's the biggest mistake I feel the designers are doing.
Yeah. I think a lot of comments in the chat box also. Everybody has the opinion. They're all wonderful. Different viewpoints, so that we can learn of how to avoid these things and take into consideration all this when we are designing stuff.
Any other questions, guys? Or we can wrap it.
Awesome, guys. Thanks for being present. I know in the beginning I might have rushed through a little. Okay, sorry. Yeah, Mrinal. One last question. How to
My question is that, ma'am, we always do research and all these things, but it never come to the intuitions. Like whatever presentation you made is already based on intuitions. Like you just see the surrounding and made the presentation, ma'am. I have never imagined that this could be like relatable to that. So as a designer, ma'am, sometimes we need to be intuitional and come forward with the bolder ideas. So, ma'am,
Hmm.
can you have that viewpoint on that, like intuitional thinking?
Do you mean how to encourage that, or what do I think about it?
Ma'am, like intuitionally sometimes we do, like we need to choose this color, this palette, we need to do research and all these things, but sometimes the
Hmm.
ideas come intuitionally, like it itself come. So in that way, how to move at that time, we should move, take the boulder stop or just to do
Hmm.
another research.
That's a really good question, because as somebody, as creative people, this is what our strength is, like us discovering, looking at things, getting inspiration, and then trying to do something about it. It is a really good feeling to have this, but it is also daunting. I understand, that how do you apply it, where do you stop, should we not do, these are the questions that come in. So what my opinion on this would be that you need to let these ideas flow, as in not stop them, but keep it, and then judge what is the situation like. If you're working for a company that is, or working on a product where the team is open to experimentation, there's no collaboration, then you might want to pitch these ideas. But whatever idea, if your idea is innovative or very different, it will always need some sort of data and testing and backing for it to actually become an idea that becomes, to realize it and actually become effective. So that it has to go through that stage. But choosing when to do, when not to do, it also depends on what you're trying to do, what your situation is, like what you're trying to build, what are the timelines like, and then prioritize on it. If you're very confident that this idea is going to work, and if you then you might as well have a data backing for it, and then push it forward. It's always good to have bolder ideas, but just not unnecessarily, just to show that you have bolder ideas. That might not be, it might not always work. So whatever ideas you have, let it flow. This is one advantage that we have as creative people. But then judge when to execute it, depending on surroundings, statistics, feasibility, teamwork. Team is going to be important, because idea that you think is really good might not actually be very good till you share. So these are different angles for you to decide how to move forward.
Okay, ma'am, thank you.
Yeah, I hope this helped. Yeah.
Yeah, yes.
Cool. Looking forward for your entries if you guys are participating in the competition. We'll see what you all come up with. Very excited to see that. At any point, if you guys have any more questions, feel free to drop them in our community. I'm also dropping my email ID here in case you want to get in touch directly. But yeah, till that time, see you from me and my dog who's sleeping right now. But have a great time, guys, and thanks a lot for joining today.